longevity lifestyle designers. This is Zak here with secretsoflongevity.com. With the video I posted yesterday, I suggest checking that out. You'll notice that I have ended my bodybuilding program and I'm getting more into turning that program actually back into a bodyweight training primarily program. Still going to use some free weights that I have here at my home. But I'm utilizing that home space to do my practice. And this is something that I've always done, and the gym was a new thing, but I've just really found that it's not my thing for a variety of reasons, which I addressed in that video. But I did this interview with Brendan on a podcast, and I had the podcast up on my site for a while, but it actually got taken down as the company I had the podcast hosted by had it expire after, I think, 2 months or so. So here I just figured I've got the increased length of my YouTube video, so I'm going to put the podcast on here. You can listen to it, walk away from a computer, or perhaps turn this whole video into an audio file if you want to do that and put it on an MP3 player. So here it is. It's an older interview, but I still definitely stand by everything I talk about. The one thing that's different is I'm not following a martial arts program, but I am doing the bodyweight training. And with that, here it is, and enjoy.
My name is Brandon, and I'm here tonight with my good friend Zak Martin-Kilgour of secretsinlongevity.com. Did I get that right, Zak?
Yeah, it's secretsoflongevity.com, pretty much.
Oh. So that's your website, and you also have your own YouTube channel as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm on various social networking sites there.
Yeah, you're kind of all over the place. A lot of content out there. But I'm here with Zak tonight, and we're going to talk about some really important, really crucial secrets of a long life, and really get into some good foundational philosophies, and really bring to light some misconceptions and just incorrect information that's out there. So a lot of us on this journey of health, we get into one approach really. So we want to improve our diet. So we start to improve our diet, and we think that's it. That's all we need to do. We just need to eat the right food, and everything's fine. Whereas there's some people who, they start to work out, they go to the gym, they start running, they get some sort of physical discipline, and they think, oh, this is the thing here. This is all I need to do. And then there's other people who, they get on more of a meditative path where they practice maybe a soft martial art like Tai Chi or Qigong, or they practice some sitting meditation, and they think, oh, wow, this is the path here. This is all I need. Now, it's a common thing for people to fall into that kind of belief. But I've been talking to Zak recently, and he's really saying that there's more to the equation. There's more to having a long life than just like one approach. He's going to talk a bit about how there's an internal aspect. There's the meditation, there's the soft martial art, and the spirituality. There's also the physical aspect, which is obviously your active exercise and your diet and your food and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is very valid there, Brennan, and that is something I've been exploring a lot lately, is the idea of taking a look at what it is we're doing with our practices, both internal and external, meditative and active, and we really need to sort of look at what the detriments are of overdoing any one aspect of it. For example, someone who's like going to the gym on a daily basis, they're exercising, yes, and vigorous exercise is fantastic for health. Everyone knows that. But you're in a gym, you're under fluorescent lighting, you're around other people who are like breathing heavily. You don't know what they're breathing out. Who knows? They might have all sorts of toxins being released in their breath. Plus, you've got the carpets that are off-gassing all sorts of stuff. You've got the electromagnetic fields of all the machines going. So it's a great place in terms of a social environment for support and all that. However, I've never personally been that attracted to gyms. I like to exercise on my own. but other people do like the social aspect of it, and that's fantastic. But I always would advocate that people find ways of doing that outdoors. And then on the internal side, which is another important aspect, is mental health, emotional health that can come from like a spiritual practice or a meditative practice or yoga, qigong, these kinds of things, is if you get involved in doing too much sitting, you obviously get the problems that are associated with that. Everyone's talking about people sitting at computers too much, people sitting on the couch. Well, if you're already doing that in your day-to-day life and you're in your spare time you're meditating, you're losing out on the possibilities of more vigorous exercise. And I was actually recently talking to a friend of mine who's a Chinese doctor, and he was telling me he was treating a patient recently who had just gone on a 10-day meditation retreat. I'm not sure what kind of meditation it was, but they were sitting all day for 10 days straight meditating, and just like it was really intense. It sounded like a fantastic retreat, but he was saying that the lack of movement actually resulted in this person getting stiff muscles in their back. And that's a common problem, obviously, associated with monks and other people that sit for long periods of time. So I really think that a balance is key, and I think the internal-external view of it is a great way of viewing things. Yeah, so you're right about what it is that I'm already beginning to talk about in the online community there, with this balance that needs to be present and not overdoing either one or the other. And it's really that yin-yang philosophy, and we're always going for balance, homeostasis in ourselves, and that's going to be what is best for our long-term health.
Yeah, it seems like that's really what the whole game of life is about, is just balancing the opposites, balancing the yin and the yang in every context and every area of life. But you brought up some really interesting things about working at the gym, which I'd never really considered and thought of before, which is, sure, it's good going to the gym, but I never thought of all the ways that going to the gym can even be bad for you. You might be doing more harm than good in some ways. So that's definitely a good point. So we'll talk a bit about the internal and the external, but first I want to know some of your favorite internal practices, and what are some practices that you would recommend to someone who's maybe, already doing a lot of active external exercise, or maybe wants to get started with an internal practice?
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I personally came to the conclusion of what it is I wanted to do for myself. I mean, I've been active my entire life, both in the internal and external facets of exercise. So I've had the opportunity to experiment with various activities and figure out what really works for me. And I think that's the key, is to obviously be doing something you love. And what really led to me to be doing what I'm doing now is when I began to look at the cultures around the world that are already living the longest lives. And what we see from just specifically some of the National Geographic studies on the top 8, at least from their perspective, the top 8 longest lived cultures around the world, which are the Hunzins, the Okinawans, Caucasians from the Georgian region of Russia, the Icarians, Loma Linda, California, the Sardinians of Italy, Vilcabamba, the Nicoya Peninsula, and even parts of China. These areas all, they don't, like I was saying, they don't go to a gym, but they have constant exercise built into their daily lives. Plus they also have downtime in the form of religion or spiritual practices. And so from my perspective, this was that internal-external balance. Now their external sort of exercise is the constant low-level activity that they have to engage in just to survive and to make their livelihood. And that really includes gardening, farming, doing chores around the house and outside. So these are generally somewhat poor areas of the world. They're not really poor, but they're not well off just because they've sort of remained in the same state for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and haven't really changed much in terms of the way their society works. So, yeah, they're very active. They often live in areas where there's a lot of hills, so they're constantly walking up and down hills. And so this brought me to the conclusion that we don't necessarily need to be doing extremely vigorous exercise unless we don't have the opportunity to be active throughout our day. So if we happen to have a job where we're sitting at a computer most of the day, or in an office, or selling something in a retail store, and we're not really doing too much physical movement with our body, then we can have these more intense workouts to make up for all that time we're just spending not moving. And the practices that I'm really attracted to are the ones out of China. Yeah, so what I like about specifically this part of the world was they had people that would make it their livelihood to practice these things in a balance. So while there might be people farming, people in a emerging society doing various tasks, there were people that went off and into the mountains and cultivated their bodies through various practices, and a lot of them were both internal and external practices, but also through rigorous discipline in their diet and intake of herbs and superfoods and other things like that. But in terms of their exercise practice, they would combine things like martial arts, qigong, meditation, and this also was prevalent in India in the form of yoga and other things. And so I became very interested in one family lineage known as the Li family arts, which is a family system of martial arts, and as I was saying, qigong and other internal arts that came from China. And this family, during the Cultural Revolution, immigrated to the U.S., and eventually we now have what's known as the Li family arts, and it incorporates Bagua, which is an internal martial art. They have all these various qigong practices, meditation practices. They have other arts as well. And it's now becoming more popular, Bagua in general, but specifically the Li family Bagua, which is known as Julong Bagua, which is Nine Dragon Baguazhong. And it's a pretty interesting art when you get into the specifics of what it can do for the body. My teacher down in Texas actually is a fairly scientifically minded individual, which definitely has its pluses in the fact that he's really dug deep into analyzing and studying the arts that he's inherited from this family system. And he's come up with all these reasons why it's so good for the health. And partly how I came across these arts was I was looking at what arts had the longest lived people. And over time I came across an individual known as Li Cheng-yun, who a lot of people are aware of as being connected with popularizing the consumption of things like ginseng, hushu and goji berries. A lot of people talk about him because he's alleged to have lived to 256 years of age. So basically the arts that he practiced were the beginnings of some of these Li family arts, and he was sort of the start of that whole family style that has now ended up in the U.S. So like I was saying, the benefits to this art known as Julong Baguazhong is that it incorporates this circle walking, which is a very low-impact exercise and way of training for a martial art. So right off the bat, I got interested in this partly because of these cultures that I had previously talked about that had the low-impact continuous exercise that seems to be quite similar to what you can get from practicing an art like Julong Baguazhong, which is known as an internal martial art, but it's actually a very external exercise in the sense that there's all this movement, you're walking in circles. The way it's got a specific style of walking that actually pumps blood and lymphatic fluid back up the legs from the way that the feet roll along the ground. So it actually takes pressure off the heart while you're walking. So in some instances, this could potentially be more beneficial than a strong run. And you can actually still build up a sweat, so you get the cardiovascular benefits of this walking. And also, because you're going in a circle, there are little crystals in an area right around the sinuses and close to the third eye in the brain. And there's iron oxide crystals that act as magnets, or almost like a compass. And this is what a lot of animals have in their heads. And things like birds that migrate have these quite well developed, whereas humans, obviously not as well developed, but some people do have a better sense of direction than others. And we do all have these crystals that will always line up to the North Pole and the electromagnetism of the Earth. So walking around in a circle actually causes these crystals to constantly be turning in a circle, and they're almost like constantly being pulled off their electromagnetic alignment with the Earth. And this causes the brain to immediately and very quickly shift into an alpha state. So if people are familiar with the differences in brain states, from beta is a very active, alert state, alpha is a very meditative state, and your body tends to be more relaxed and goes into a rest and digest sort of internally focused state. And this has been shown to have a variety of benefits for health. So those are the two major benefits of circle walking.
Well, for someone who's never heard of Bagua or circle walking, and I mean, it sounds pretty amazing, just from the benefits. What are some things that someone could do to get started or to learn more, or what are some good resources if someone wanted to learn this art or learn to practice circle walking?
Well, there are teachers of this specific art all over North America. There's quite a few in the U.S. and Canada here. I have a teacher in Toronto. There's someone out in Calgary. I'm not aware of any others actually in Canada, but there is also a little group that practices in Ottawa. And then in the U.S., there is a variety of teachers as well, but you can find out more about all this information by visiting 9dragonbaguadzong.com, and I'll spell that out. It's NineDragonBaguadzhang.com. So that's a long website address, but it's that's sort of the main site, and there's information about the art itself and all the other Lee family arts, as well as the different teachers that are teaching them around. And the other styles of Bagua are great too. I mean, they have teachers of them all over the place, and they have the same benefits from the circle walking. Although I know that the stepping pattern can be different in different arts, so some of the benefits I talked about might be different. Another thing I wanted to mention was when you're in that altered state, your mind becomes easier to be imprinted with suggestions. And one of the ways of interpreting Qigong or any other internal practice is that you are imprinting these patterns that you're teaching your body to act in a different way. So whether it's you're doing deep breathing exercises, you're trying to get your body to respond in a way that it can carry on the effects of the practice into daily life. So it's not necessarily that you get the benefits in that one little 20 minutes of practice. It's that you want your body to continue doing that for the rest of the day so you can stay in that relaxed state. So if you're practicing Qigong and you're walking in a circle and you're doing some sort of posture with a visualization that's causing sensations and feelings to happen in your body, then because you're in this altered state, it's almost like an affirmation or self-hypnosis, and you're going to be carrying those benefits on into your daily life with greater ease than if you were just to be sitting still doing them without the circle walking. That's definitely something I've noticed from my Qigong practice as well. And the lesson that the practice actually taught me is that it kind of really shifted my mindset, because before, like you were saying, I would go into it and think, okay, well, I'm going to go and do my Qigong for 20 minutes, and I'm going to feel good during those 20 minutes, and it's going to be great. But what I realized is that the 20 minutes was, it was a practice. It wasn't like
it was something that I was practicing doing. Like I was practicing being more relaxed. I was teaching my body how to function in a more relaxed state. I was teaching my body how to be more efficient and teaching my muscles how to move and how to get things done, but without all of the strain and all of the stress and all of the mental, or not mental, but all of the muscular tension that we usually, you know, carry on when we're going out through our daily lives. And the amazing thing is that once you actually get into a relaxed state, when you go back into your daily life, you see how tense you were. You see how uptight you were. You see where you're carrying muscular tension in your body. You're seeing your tension patterns, and then also once you see, like, for example, okay, I carry a lot of my tension in my lower back, or I carry up very much in my abdomen. Well, there's a mental and an emotional correlate with that. And some people, if you want to look at it, you know, from like the chakra system perspective, if you're holding a lot of area, a lot of tension in your, you know, your groin area, you know, there can be some blockage with your first and second chakra. And then you can look at that and, you know, see all the things that correlate there. Or some people even, you know, their chest is kind of concave and they hold a lot of tightness in their chest and heart area, and you can see that, oh, maybe their heart's not very open, or they're, you know, denying love in their life. So it's really amazing what, you know, these simple practices can really do for us, and really not just, you know, like, for example, if we're going to go and run for 20 minutes, we go and we run for 20 minutes and, you know, we feel good and our cardiovascular system gets a workout. That's pretty much it. I mean, when you go and you do a Qigong practice, you get the workout, but then you're also, you know, training your body to operate better. So those benefits carry on because you're learning new habits. You're learning a new way of behaving. That's something that can stick much more than just a very mechanical thing of like running or lifting weights or something like that. So it's definitely something that these internal arts can teach you.
Absolutely. And yeah, the benefits from them are far-reaching and profound on that level, on the mental and emotional level. And there are definitely still benefits from things such as weightlifting and running. However, one of the things I'm attracted to with this art is it can incorporate some of those benefits without having to have this like long 3 to 4 hour workout that you have to do every day. Like, there's only so much we can each do in a day. So if you can find things that you enjoy that incorporate several aspects, whether it's both internal and external, that can be very beneficial. Or you can always do like different things various days, and I think over the long run you just want to aim for like a balance of the internal and external. And certain arts such as Bagwajang, as well as Tai Chi Tren and Xingyi is another internal art, they have the same sort of benefits where you're working the mind while moving, whereas opposed to just sitting still or just being in movement.
So now that we've kind of talked a bit about, you know, some of the internal exercises and their benefits, what are some of your favorite more active, more external exercises for someone who, let's say, already, you know, has a sitting practice, or already does a little Qigong or a little Tai Chi and needs something else to kind of add in to help maintain this balance that we're striving for and the balance that we're talking about here?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, so one of the major things that, again, I take from these traditional cultures that have these long lives is that they're really able to create this functional strength in the body. They're not looking like these big bodybuilders. And I have nothing against bodybuilding. I think it's great. I have friends who are very successful in that arena, but it's never been something I'm overly attracted to. And these traditional cultures, such as where they were doing a lot of farming, they'd be able to do things like pushing a plow that's being pulled by an ox, but they have to have a certain amount of strength to do it themselves. And if you were to go visit one of these farms where they're still doing things in traditional ways, such as like an Amish farm or a Mennonite farm, and you were to try and do what the farmers are doing, you'd be exhausted in a very short period of time. So those people, who are constantly sort of doing this low-level, intense movement, they develop this strength in their body that's very applicable to everyday work. So perhaps the one job in our modern society that could have these kind of benefits is people who are movers. If they're constantly moving boxes all day, they can have the same health benefits, although, of course, you need to have a good diet in there, otherwise you're going to lead to injuries and stuff that I've seen some movers actually end up with. But yeah, in terms of my own external practices, I really focus on doing body weight exercises. I do a certain amount of work with weights. However, my goal isn't to bulk up, but is to increase functional strength, which is a way to have strength in everyday movements that is using your whole body. So if we're lifting a weight, we're actually isolating a muscle in most cases, such as a barbell curl. We're really focusing on using as few muscles as possible to really focus on one muscle to sort of tear it down so that when it builds up, it's bigger. However, if on the flip side, if we were to focus on the bicep, if we wanted an exercise that did something good for the biceps, and we used a chin-up bar, and we were doing a chin-up with our grip pointed towards us, so that our called supinated pull-up. When you're pulling up, you're definitely working out the bicep, but you're also working out the forearms because you're gripping the bar. You're working out your shoulders, your deltoids, your trapezius and latissimus dorsi, as well as your abs and your pectoral muscles. So it's actually a whole upper body exercise. And what happens when you're doing something like this is you're activating your nervous system in a way that links these muscles together. So if you're just lifting a weight for your bicep, you're training both your muscle and your nervous system to work in a certain way. So by doing a whole body movement, you're, like I said, training your whole upper body all at once. And the benefits of this, for someone like me who's involved in martial arts, a lot of martial artists know that bodyweight exercises are always better than going to the gym and lifting weights. A lot of martial artists, especially when you get into things like the MMA or professional fighting, they definitely combine both. They both have their pluses and minuses. But if you were to choose just one or the other, there's definitely more benefits with the bodyweight exercises. And one story that I've heard Matt Fury, who's a proponent of bodyweight exercises, talk about is there was a teacher of karate who took two of his young students. They were actually twins, so they had the exact same body composition, and they were progressing in their martial art, and he wanted them to start training with weights or building strength in some way. So he got one of the twins to just do weight training, and he got the other one to do body weight training. And after a month or two, he had them spar against each other, and the twin that was doing the body weight training was at least twice as more efficient in terms of his movements and ability to execute movements than the one that had just been weight training.
Yeah, I can definitely say that in my experience, that the bodyweight exercises, even just something as simple as pull-ups and chin-ups and push-ups, is far more beneficial for increasing strength and functional strength than going to the gym and just lifting weights. Because when I was a bit younger in high school, I lifted a lot of weights because I ran track and played basketball and did a lot of sports in school. And at one point, I put on maybe 20 to 25 pounds of muscle in a really short amount of time from lifting weights. But I probably couldn't have done a pull-up, a chin-up, or a push-up to save my life. I wasn't any stronger. I was definitely bigger and bulkier, but my energy levels were greatly diminished, and my cardiovascular system was really burdened. But then, just this past summer, I started to do some bodyweight exercises, just like chin-ups and pull-ups, and I was able to massively increase my strength, my functional strength, but not get all bulky and weighed down. And it was really amazing to me to experience the difference and really realize that there's no real correlation between muscle size and muscle strength. And that was something that I gained from my own experience, which is probably obvious to a lot of people, but I just had never seen it like that before, and I just was amazed by the difference I've noticed.
I mean, yeah, that's amazing. The people at gyms often don't realize the benefits that can come from something like this, and often, if I'm traveling or something, I'll go into a gym to work out, just because I sometimes do like to do a few different exercises with weights, although I never really do machines. I do like free weights and stuff. But I'll do something like taking a weight and just holding in my hands and doing like a pistol squat, which is a one-legged squat. And the people who are weightlifting there just tend to stop and like stare at you because you're doing something they've never seen before, and they don't doesn't go through their mind of what's actually possible or what can be done with the body and what that can look like. Now, the benefits of doing functional strength is if you were to go and start using these weight machines, you can often do equal, if not greater, weight than some people who are bigger than you. One example would be if you've taught yourself how to do a one-arm push-up, and you can do several on each arm, and you go and do a bench press, and you're going to be able to probably do more than your body weight in the bench press without having ever trained the bench press. Whereas if you train just the bench press and you're doing over your body weight, if you try and do a one-arm push-up or even just a regular push-up, if you haven't never done it, you don't have that neurological imprinting like I mentioned. You haven't taught your neurological network to work in a functional whole-body way, because when you're doing a push-up, you're engaging the core, you're using some of your leg muscles, your arm muscles, your triceps, shoulders. So yeah, that's definitely a key, in my view, for long-term health, is being able to connect both the neurological network with the muscular network.
Yeah, and there's a lot of benefit to that, because if there are parts of your body that are dormant, as far as muscles or nerves, that's part of your brain that's going to be dormant. That's part of your psychology and your consciousness that has yet to be activated. If you're moving in very mechanical, very robotic ways, your mind is definitely going to reflect that. And if all of these different parts of your body aren't, firing together, then obviously your brain won't be firing very holistically as well. Another benefit to the bodyweight exercises is that most times they're free. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything other than wherever you are, whether that's at the airport or in your bedroom or at the park or wherever. You can do them, and in most cases you don't need any equipment. You don't need a trainer. You don't need to pay a membership. You can just do it wherever you are, and it's like the ultimate convenience. Whereas, if you go to a gym, obviously you have to drive to the gym, you have to pay the membership, you have to, go and do the machines and deal with all the stuff that we talked about earlier, but it just seems like you spend, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, and you could have had, 40 minutes of workout at your house without even, and you could have saved the gas money and all of that, so that's another thing that I really like about these bodyweight exercises as well. Is not only do they seem to be very beneficial for you to your health, and perhaps even superior than traditional weightlifting stuff that you do at a gym, but also you save time and money by doing it. So it's like you really can't lose with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you combine that with your your internal practice, whether that's sitting meditation or qigong, you can pretty much get a full body, broad spectrum workout, in your room for free, basically.
Yeah, that's totally true. And this is something that we have sort of come across in cultural society now. A lot of people, more and more people are doing yoga, and yoga is the exact same idea. It's to yoke the body, it's to bring it together. And yoga is a very holistic program or series of exercises. You have both the internal meditation, breathing exercises, plus you have the postures and asanas, which really build functional whole body strength. So that's the same idea that I apply to my strength training. In fact, I call it strength practice. Like I never use the word workout anymore because that implies that it's something other than fun, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a crucial thing is that, you know, whatever you choose to work out with, it should be fun and it should be something that you like, you know. Some people it might be running, some people it might be qigong, some people, you know, meditation or tai chi or yoga. You know, it doesn't really matter, or it could be, you know, jumping on a trampoline or a rebounder. I don't think it really matters so much as to what the actual training is, but it's just finding something that you like and actually doing it. That's where the real benefit is. It's not so much like that one method is superior to the others, because, you know, we're all different. We all have different lifestyles and different body types and metabolisms and things like that. So obviously we're going to need different kinds of you know, strategies for working out and for maintaining our health and longevity.
For sure. Yeah, that's totally true.
So just to kind of recap and wrap up, basically so far we've really said that you know, health and true longevity and long life, it's not so much about any one path, but it's definitely a balance of, you know, the internal and the external, and a synergy between lots of different strategies. And from what you've been saying, Zach, this is based on, you know, research you've been doing on the longest lived cultures. So I think it'd be very, you know, beneficial for us to model that and to kind of step away from this, you know, aberration of this strange paradigm that we find ourselves in, you know, in modern society, and really use common sense and take a look at what has worked in the past, and, you know, look at people who are getting the results that we want to get, and then model them. So we've said that there definitely needs to be a balance between the internal and the external, because, you know, if you cultivate one over the other, you're going to get diminished results, and there's got to be a balance and that synergy between the two. And Zach's recommended, you know, Bagua and Tai Chi and Qigong as very good places to start for internal exercises. And also, Zach and I both are big proponents, big fans of functional strength built by bodyweight exercises. So these are things that I use daily to cultivate my health, and I know Zach does the same. So hopefully this interview has been beneficial and learned some good things, and walking away with some good strategies and some good concepts to apply to your life.
Yeah, well, thanks, Brendan, for this opportunity to let me discuss these things with you and with the audience, of course. And yeah, my intentions with looking into this information and exploring past cultures as well as modern science and what it can tell us about how we should be moving and exercising is that we really want to be spending our time on what gives us the most results for the least amount of work. And as we see with the traditional cultures, they got their exercise, but at the same time they were getting work done. They were farming. They were creating abundance for themselves. So although we might have separated that in our modern culture, we can still do practices that do multiple things for ourselves. And obviously people are living busier and busier lives, and they like to do these things that is basically like time management. And so that's definitely another positive to doing things like this. And especially with something like martial arts, you're also developing self-defense and body awareness, and there's a multitude of benefits with that. And that's actually another big reason I choose to do those types of practices.
Yeah, I think that's something that, we all want is the most benefit with the least amount of time invested. And, everyone's busy, and, it's easy to not work out if you have to, drive somewhere for 20 minutes and then, pay to go there and then spend 20 minutes driving back. It's a big time investment, but these practices that we've been discussing can be done almost anywhere in a very short amount of time, and they have very, broad spectrum, very profound benefits.
Absolutely. So yeah, again, I'd like to thank you, Brandon, for having me on here, and I'm looking forward to the next time we can have opportunity to share our ideas with our audiences like this.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to educate me on some of these things. I know I've learned a lot, and I've taken away a lot from this time, and we'll have some good things to apply to my overall health and longevity strategy.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Leave comments below. Let me know what you thought. Perhaps you had heard this before, but I'm assuming most of you on here haven't heard it. And take care and embrace life without limits.